welcome. Please bear with. As, it has not picked the game up for some reason. Well, we've got some teething issues by the looks of it. But, you know, we are back with a new game. And, we're doing sort of a trial run, if you will. This weekend, we'll be doing a race tonight, tomorrow, and another one on Sunday, as we prepare for the start of Season 5 here at WHF. We'll just see if we can add display capture. See if that'll sort us out. Even if it is simply temporarily. And we just need to work on a handful of things. There we go. Alright. Some minor teething issues, but we're getting there. Fuck. Pardon my language, as we try and just... So why has that happened then? What the hell? What the helly? What the helly on? That would actually explain quite a bit. So we are just, because I have yet to actually, like, set all of this up. I've only just loaded up the game for the first time today. So that would be why. It's because of the resolution, and we'll make sure to have it windowed full screen while we're at it. Dynamic resolution. Well, we'll give that a try, and it should all be a lot better. All right. Bosh. There we go. Now I think we're cooking with gas. So, as previously mentioned, this weekend will consist of 3 races ahead of the season starting, which is still to be confirmed, but speculation would have everybody believe it would be on June 12th, which will be in 2 weeks' time. I believe we'll be kicking off with the Tier 1 race on a Saturday. And I'll most likely be doing commentary on that. I have yet to finish my sign-up sheet, which you will be able to do. If you join our Discord, we've got the Season 5 signups ready to go. You will have to submit some time trial times. Please, no sandbagging, as if we do get into a race and somebody seems way quicker in Tier 2 than maybe they should be, they will be moved up to Tier 1 pretty quickly. But we do have those, should have the Discord in somewhere linked on Twitch, I believe. And you're more than welcome to join as we get ready for the new game, new season here at WHF. This weekend's races, for the most part, is a social race, but that isn't an excuse for people to just dive bomb every corner and make it less fun. That's kind of how we wrapped up the off-season mini league that we did May Mystery Month. We did a chaos race and it was survival of the fittest. So we will be doing Austria. doing short qualifying followed by a 50% race. We've got some pretty good drivers, and it's going to be interesting to see what the new game's handling model means for those drivers. Whether a few drivers might lose some pace and others might gain a couple places. Also, with the game being brand new, obviously setups haven't been tweaked to their absolute optimum just yet. So as everybody's figuring out, kind of like in the last game, the meta was with the tires set it to the max pressure, everything on suspension to the left. So all of those little things haven't been worked out with it being a brand new game. So I think setup now is going to matter until we kind of figure out what the meta is with it being a new game. So a couple drivers that did have a lot of pace in the previous game, obviously going to be Kevin Cal, Arrow, Nile. All three drivers had immense pace, and then people who had fairly savage consistency. Obviously, Kevin Cal seems to have like a sixth sense for when there's going to be danger and is able to stay out of it 90% of the time. So we'll just get the telemetry on, lap data, track map on full. So for the most part, it is very similar to the last one. I imagine a few people are going to be taking a little longer to leave the pits than usual, trying to get their setups all sorted. But we've got a couple of people leaving the pits. It looks like we've got Ollie in the kick and Kenzie Young in the V-Carb. My frame rate seems like ass. It's Austria in reverse. That's why I didn't recognize the track initially. I was like, what the fuck? This is in Austria? And then clicked. It's in reverse. So obviously with it being a new game, 3 tracks will in fact be available in reverse. Austria obviously being one of them. Yeah, my frame rate really does not seem great. So I'll see if I can rectify that a bit. Maybe ray trace. Maybe we just put the ray tracing off. Yes. That seems a little bit better. So, as I said, a little bit of teething issues with a few of the things going on. As I'm just trying to get my FPS counter up, just so I can keep an eye on that. And if you are in the Twitch chat, see we got a couple of viewers there, go ahead and say hi. It's always welcome to... So, if I'm being totally honest, I'm not a huge fan of the new HUD. I don't know, it just seems kind of weird. To me, at least. We've got a yellow flag. I believe that would be LTJ Ellis kicking off the new game right where he left off on the old one. Whether he actually did spin or what on earth is he doing? Anyway, Ollie JL currently sits P1 in the kick. Sauber with a 105.8. Kenzie Young not too far behind with a 108.45. D. Sommers not too far behind, only a tenth off the paces. Croskery out of nowhere, full 4 tenths quicker. Kevin Cal not too far behind Croskery. Could this be the game where Croskery, who was sort of front of the middle runners, could this be a game where he frequently gets podiums? And Nile, obviously, the most dominant person that we saw race in Tier 1 and in the off-season break, just shy of a full second ahead of Arrow, who was the Tier 1 champion in the previous game, ending of Season 4 of WHF. So a couple more times coming up. F1 Mallard with a 105.8. Kenzie Young goes into the pits. WHF Gordon. Obviously, his teammate from last season was Star, who is not racing tonight. Lucci's, who we saw have a couple races in the last game, has yet to set a lap, but I believe he'll be coming onto the main straight to set a lap time now, and it is going to be not too shabby, a 105.2, but a little bit behind. Niall is a 104.5. And we'll take a look at Sci-Fi Mega Hype. Who, sort of the slower section of the middle of the pack in Tier 2 last season. But with the new handling model, could this be the game where we could see some Sci-Fi Mega Hype dominance in Tier 2? He's out in the Alpine. I'm a big fan of that livery. They tried to do something different with the cars this year. Or at least a little bit different. Nothing too crazy. Ooh, and he has a major lockup into turn 3. I'm going to call out the turns as they would be on the regular direction track. And Ollie Bean, who was sort of front of the middles to middle of the middles in Tier 2. Don't believe he started off the season, but joined sort of halfway through. Out in the Mercedes, and that will invalidate his lap time, unfortunately, but has set a 109.4. Sci-Fi Mega Hype got disqualified from the session for parking in the wrong place. LTJ Ellis, also out in the Alpine. Will he see the same fate? Oh, wait, where is it? LTJ Ellis. He's in the Williams. And he has set a 106.4. He may have some connection issues. I don't believe that's me. No, that's not me with the connection issues. But Jamie Dwyer now seems to be on a little bit of a burner coming around turn 5 now. Looking to make his way onto turn 4. And obviously the cars that everybody's in, probably not going to be the cars that they'll be in for the season. And DSOM is confirming that it is indeed LTJ Ellis's connection having an issue, as he's seen it too. So Jamie Dwyer could be on for an absolute burn as he makes his way round to the final / first turn onto the main straight. Will pop the DRS, but where's it going to put him? Is it an improvement? It is not. Well, it is an improvement, but not quite enough to move up, as he's just a hair over a tenth slower than Aaron, who's set a 106.6. So we'll see what the front of the grid is looking like. Kenzie Young coming in second place, just shy of 3/10 behind Niall, but Niall was in a league of his own in the last game. And fans could definitely get bored of the Niall dominance pretty quickly, as every race he enters, he seems to come in first. F1 Mallard in the Mercedes. He does not improve, as he's half a tenth slower off his current time. His current time being a 105.6. So we'll have a look. Niall has invalidated, unfortunately. Kenzie Young back into the pits. Lucci's also appears to have invalidated. I think the reverse track throwing a few of the drivers off, but we will check out Arrow. I don't know if maybe it's a bug with the invalidated, or if there really are this many drivers invalidating. I wonder if it's that turn 3 backwards that's throwing the drivers off. But Arrow seems to be starting off a lap now. Can he find 9/10 to put himself on pole here in the reverse Austria? As he goes wide and invalidates into turn 6. Unfortunately, we'll take a look at Ollie, who's just come round turn 3. Needs to find over a second to put himself on pole. But I'm sure he'll take any improvement. Was a Ferrari driver last season. Arrow's teammate who won the championship. He's in the Kick Sauber tonight, which could be to his benefit, as he won't have a teammate to possibly have to double stack with. So he does manage to find just over half a second, putting himself into P3. But still a gargantuan 8/10 off of Niall in the Aston Martin, who has just improved on his time, setting a 104.4. And for the life of me, I don't actually remember where Niall is from. I can't remember if it was Germany, France, or Netherlands. And I bet I'm wrong with all 3 of those. But Lucci's, who was a guest driver for a few races, seems to be holding his own, as he recently beat Ollie's time by the looks of it, as he has set a 105.018. But will it be enough to hold on to, as we've got a few drivers by the looks of it going to be hanging on to do their final attempt. Do I have LTJ Ellis? I should. So we'll try and invite him back. As I noticed, he has not with... Oh, shoot. Voice. So the whole lobby's been hearing my voice. Oh, that is horrendous. Horrendous from me. Schoolboy error. Voice chat. How do I disable that shit? We'll put push to talk on. That'll fix it. So we've got Kenzie Young. Possibly on an inlet. So, might be making an attempt, potentially, not coming into the pits. We've got Arrow, who's just spun round on the second to last corner for the regular track, or turn 2, with it being reversed. So he won't be too happy about that. Kevin Kell in the Red Bull, who I believe is on an... That's a good question. LTJ Ellis has left the session again. That is incredibly unfortunate, because I was hoping to see whether he would spin or not, but does seem to be having some connection issues. Kevin Kell is looking quite rapid, but he's a 10th off his current time in the Red Bull. So coming out of turn 3, we will see if he's up or down on his previous time. But coming out of sector 1, he was a 10th down. Where's he going to lay now? 2/10 off his time. So probably not going to see much of an improvement from Kevin Cal there. D. Sommers, who's shown a bit of pace in Tier 2. Potentially going to see some podiums from him in the next season. Certainly not a slow driver. But with the changes to the handling model, it could be anybody's game to be dominant. Obviously, we saw the inverse of that with Ultra Titan in the previous games. Was absolutely rapid. But with F124, was back of the middle of the pack. And then every now and then he'd decide, fuck it, and would buckle down and show you a podium. So could see the opposite effect, and D. Sommers just invalidated his lap. Absolutely heartbreaking for the Williams driver. Down in P10, we've got Payox Kings, who I can't say I've seen before, driving an Alpine. Can Aaron improve on his time? As we'll follow him for his hot lap coming into turn 1. Keeps it nice and tight. Turn 2. Uses the back end just a tiny bit after touching that curb. Manages to recover as we're going to come through turn 7 and 6 for the regular track. He is 2/10 up. Coming through turn 5, now needs to make his way into turn 4 to hit the DRS zone. And I think the reverse track drivers are starting to get used to it, as we can see Niall improving on his time, now 3/10 clear of P2, Kenzie Young in the V-car. But all eyes on Aaron to see if he can start in the points. He was 2/10 up coming out of sector 1, but what's his time going to say as we find out the split now still 2/10 up. With 2 corners to go, or 1 corner to go rather. Can he hold on, and will it be enough to get ahead of D. Sommers? It will be, as Aaron snatching P10 from D. Sommers in the Red Bull. We'll take a look at WHF Gordon, who may actually be on an in-lap, but Ollie, who went flying by, seems to be on a hot lap, and I missed the split there, so we'll have to wait till the end of the second sector in order to see what Ollie can do. So slightly sloppy and invalidates as he goes wide out of turn 3. That turn certainly catching a lot of drivers out here in the qualifying. It'll be interesting to see how many track limits penalties that'll bring up in the race as we go on board with Arrow, the Tier 1 champion. Currently sits P5. Needs to somehow find 8/10 in order to make it onto the podium start. And a 2nd and 3/10 in order to make it into P1 if he wants to sit on that pole and make it dance. And he does improve by 4/10, moving him up to P4. Sadly, not enough to start on the podium. We've got a few drivers coming into the pits. F1 Mallard starting in P5, so I believe that will be it for your qualifying. So P1, we will have Niall, Kenzie Young, Lucci's, followed by Arrow, Mallard, Ollie, Croskery, Kevin Cal, Payox Kings, Aaron, D. Sommers, Ollie Bean, WHF Gordon, LTJ Ellis, aka Legispin, Jamie Dwyer, and Sci-Fi Mega Hype, making up your starting grid of 16 drivers here for the Austria reverse. Obviously, Ledgeman is having a few connection issues at the minute. So there you have it, your starting grid here in Austria for our pre-season testing of F1 25. I am just quickly going to tab out just to have a quick look-see. So I'm currently unsure of what time we'll be kicking off. I imagine it'll be something like 8:30. Would make the most sense to me, at least. But just in case I'm wrong, we'll make sure to get the webcam off. So if you are in the chat and you are racing, any updates to the weather would be fantastic. As obviously we don't get that here in the commentary booth. Light cloud throughout, so conditions should remain cool but dry here in the first of the preseason testing races for WHF. And if you are in the chat and you know what time we'll be kicking off, please do let me know, as I don't see it on Discord, but I imagine it will be 8:30 that will be kicking off the start of the race. So something is certainly killing my graphics card in this game, as my graphics card utilization is up to 99% consistently, and I am only getting 100 frames per second. I hope it's coming through okay on the stream, as might be a bit of an ask for my settings to be this high. And I may have to turn them down just a smidge. So it is 8:30 now. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And with that, it is lights out and away we go. We're going to go on board with Kenzie Young. Into turn 1, we've got Blue Cheese making a move up to P2 now. As everybody, but we've got a caution as LTJ Ellis gets a very slow start. And Niall obviously going to be in P1. A bit of movement towards the rear. Ollie with a nice move down the outside of Mallard as they battle intensely. And we've got Arrow, who went wide off the track. Whether he was pushed, I do not know. We got Aaron making a move up the pack up to P7. D. Somers dropping down to P8. He had a hell of a start if he managed to make up 3 or 4 positions as he makes a move down the inside of Aaron. as they go wheel to wheel coming down towards turn 3. Could we see absolute chaos between the Williams and the Red Bull as we got a cheeky Croskery looking to make a move on the inside? Unable to do so, Arrow goes for a little spinneroni out of turn 3, doing LTJ Ellis's job, falling all the way down to P13. Very unfortunate for the Irishman. LTJ Ellis apparently setting the fastest lap of 10 seconds. That's got to be a bug. We've got Ollie Bean dropping into the pits. He might have damage potentially. He does have front wing damage. Obviously, to get that out the way right off the bat. But Kenzie Young, Luchis, and Ollie not too far off the current race leader, as we see a bit of a pack forming here with the front runners. And then all the way down to P11. Everybody's got DRS with each other. So whether or not they can keep that up remains to be seen. But we do know Niall has absolutely vicious pace, and anybody able to keep up with him will be commended. As certainly not the easiest driver to keep up with. And we'll go on board with Croskery. Ooh, we've got a yellow. Is that a wild LTJ Ellis? It is Sci-Fi Mega Hype starting off the preseason testing with a little spin, as we've got a bit of movement happening in the front of the grid. Ollie looking to try and make a move, but was shut out by Kenzie Young. Kevin Kell not too far behind. Ollie diving into the pits. Does he have damage? As he falls down to P8. So yeah, he does have damage. It looks like they will have a wing ready for him, as that gap to Niall now opens up to 3 seconds, as Kenzie Young and Luchis seem to be battling a bit, and that's not going to help their chances of potentially getting a win. Kevin Kell doing just Kevin Kell things, staying out of trouble, not really trying to get into a battle too much. Croskery making a move on D. Somers. Gordon was having a little peek to see if he could slip by, but unable to do so as D. Somers closes the door on him. And Croskery might be able to make a move. He gets ahead of F1 Mallard, now sets his sights on the rear of Kevin Kell. Absolutely amazing performance from the Ferrari driver so far, as he's maybe going to send it down the inside into turn 3. Can he make it stick? As there's a bit of contact and a massive pileup. Oh my god. That is going to be for the stewards to take a look at. I believe the fault lies with Aaron, who absolutely shit-canned into turn 3. We've got a VSC. The worst part about that is I saw it coming too. I saw that Red Bull making an absolutely insane dive with immense pace into that corner. I was like, it's all going to go wrong here. And it did happen. We saw somebody go into the back of another driver and it was absolute chaos. And I did say turn 3 might be a problem in the main race, as it was catching a lot of drivers out with track limits just in qualifying. And we saw that happen here. It did catch a couple drivers out. When we saw, I believe it was Kevin Kell, probably take the brunt of the most damage, and he was looking good in P4. So unfortunately, that could be his race absolutely ruined, but we have seen him come from behind in the past. So he won't be too happy with his Red Bull teammate. Aaron currently sits P5 and has a 20-second penalty, which is probably deserved. Luchis, D. Somers, and WHF Gordon all picking up drive-through penalties. Ollie Bean with a 10-second. I believe that'll be due to the speeding in the pit lane. So that is unfortunate. Sci-Fi Mega Hype all the way down in P16, and barring a safety car, I don't see him or Ollie able to make inroads to the main drivers. Obviously, Niall now 7 seconds ahead. Arrow picking up P2, which is great to see after he had an absolutely abysmal start. That was weird, because the rear kind of looked like two Alpines before, but he does have Payox Kings keeping him company, who's got a few gaps opening up around the field. Jamie Dwyer all by himself. And, you know, he has shown some pace, but Croskery all the way down to B13 after he had a pretty good start. Legispin is ghosted. I don't believe he's in the session. Ollie JL a full 12 seconds behind, but we'll have a quick look. And everybody up to P6 has yet to pit. So that means, with the exception of Niall, Ollie could see himself potentially, if he can nurse these hards, potentially able to make himself a race leader, which wouldn't surprise me. You know, he is one of the drivers where sort of midfield, but we have seen him gunning for podiums in the past, and would not surprise me in the slightest if he's able to pull a win out of his pocket in the preseason testing. He does have Kenzie Young looking to try and debate that, as he is hot on his heels. And Kevin Cal sets his sights on Croskery down towards P10, with a mere 4/10 separating the two drivers. Obviously, Kevin Cal will be in Tier 1. I believe we do have a handful of Tier 2 drivers here this evening. However, a good portion would be Tier 1 drivers, with the exception of Payox, who's the only person who I didn't get to see race at all last season. We'll just keep an eye on the gaps and try and keep an eye on the gaps and see where there may potentially be battles happening. But I think we are right in the mix, with the exception of Kenzie Young, who's made inroads on Ollie and could potentially look to make a move coming up to turn 3. He does seem to have just a slightly more pace than Ollie in certain corners, but Ollie gets a way better launch, opening that gap up to 4/10. So that weather report obviously still going to be light cloud throughout. And Aaron getting overtaken by LTJ Ellis, who is now back. And he's dropping the hammer, and there it is. He's picking up F125 right where he left off in F124 with a spin. So Kenzie Young also going to be getting ahead of LTJ Ellis. F1 Mallard also getting ahead of LTJ Ellis as he drops all the way down to P10. Ooh, didn't really leave any space for Croskery, but I suppose Croskery could have made a move for the inside, seeing that Ellis was trying to close the door. Kevin Cal now also getting ahead of LTJ Ellis. So this will be an immense recovery drive for Kevin, as he was in P4 previously, and then obviously that massive accident that his teammate, I believe it was Aaron, caused it, at least from my point of view, but the stewards may have something to say after the race. So quite an interesting amount of gaps, as everybody up to sort of P5 just kind of driving by themselves, and D. Sommers picking up a 3-second penalty, and not on the corner you would have expected. I believe that would have been somewhere between turn 4 and 7 that he was able to pick up that penalty. And LTJ Ellis now retires from the session. Unsure if it was on track or in the pits, but has happened. I really need to get my head in the game here and get rid of the webcam where it's not needed. Oh, got a car stopped on track just outside of turn 3, and that was Ellis, who may have binned it into a wall. And we've got D. Sommers getting ahead of Aaron, who's in the pits, getting another new wing. That's his second wing of the race. D. Sommers does have a 3-second penalty, but still the opportunity for him to make inroads towards the race leaders. And Aaron and Gordon leaving the pits at the same time. I believe that may have been Gordon serving a drive-through. So Gordon should be able to have Aaron for company if he can drop the hammer just slightly, but Kevin setting his sights on Croskery, and if they can work together, they can catch up to F1 Mallard, Kenzie Young, and Ollie JL, which could put them in a position to have an amazing recovery drive for Kevin. So he is within DRS. And I don't believe they're making too much progress, but they are making progress on F1 Mallard as we make our way into the 9th lap, and Niall absolutely running away with it now, and Croskery in the Ferrari picking up his first 3-second penalty, the latest of the track limits offenders, and there's the penalties once more for the viewers at home. So Aaron has a 10-second and a 3-second, and Croskery loses the back end. We'll go on board with Kevin. Very unfortunate for Croskery, who is now on the grass as he gets overtaken by Luchis, who was P2. Unsure of exactly what happened to him. Maybe a potential attempt at an undercut. But Kevin Cal now 1.7 seconds off of Mallard, who may potentially lose DRS to Kenzie Young. Ooh. Amazing save from Mallard coming into that as he locked up just a little bit, but was able to save it. Almost going into the back of Kenzie Young, and he has closed that gap. Kenzie Young could be potentially looking to make a move on Ollie JL. I don't reckon he'll have the legs for it on this straight. And he does not, just enough to close the gap a little more. I believe it's that first turn catching a few drivers out for track limits as the latest offender going to be Croskery with a track limits penalty, and he has lost his front wing. And he's retired in the pits, unfortunately, but D. Summers all the way down in P10 does have his work cut out for him to make inroads towards the remainder of the pack. So most drivers are going to be driving all by themselves with the exception of WHF Gordon, who has Aaron for company, and they are driving together. And then obviously this little pack here, Ollie JL, Kenzie Young, and F1 Mallard, all keeping each other company between P5 and P8. P7. And Kevin Kell seems to be fading ever so slightly. We've got WHF Gordon, who should come out of the pits ahead of Ollie Bean, but he does. That is excellent. So it gets ahead of Ollie Bean. Aaron. We've got a safety car. What did I miss? How on earth did I miss that? So could we see potentially... So Jamie Dwyer has opted for the soft tire on lap 10. Unsure what that's about. So a few drivers going onto the hard tire. A few have got onto the medium. Still curious about Jamie Dwyer's decision to opt for the soft tire under safety car, which as we all know is basically a free pit stop. And I suppose those drivers who served their drive-through before the safety car may potentially be kicking themselves ever so slightly now. And Sci-Fi Mega Hype, I believe, will be ecstatic about it being a safety car, giving him the opportunity to try and recover as he's now in P14. Obviously 2 DNFs, not ideal. We saw Croskery, who kind of lost it right around that sector 2, turn 5 and 6, I believe. He kind of lost the rear end. Whether he lost his wing before that, I am unsure if it was after. But it has been chaos with it being a reverse track. And obviously we saw the turn 3 catch out a couple drivers, Kevin Cal, Aaron, and I forget who was battling with Kevin. It may have been Kenzie Young, as Aaron kind of went into turn 3 way too hot and sent 2 drivers into the wall. I would love to know if somebody made contact with Aaron. My game broke, done, did. What? What do you mean it broke? Ledgeman, what do you mean your game broke? Like it's glitching or it just keeps kicking you? Because from the commentary booth, it kind of looked like it was a connection issue from your side. And a couple other drivers did report similar, like D. Sommers. So with the safety car, a few drivers still need to catch it. Obviously, Sci-Fi Mega Hype, I believe, is more than a lap behind now, so he probably won't be able to unlap himself. The decision to pit for new mediums may not have been the right decision, unless he's allowed to go past the safety car, which is pretty rare that it happens. Then I joined during VSC and had 30 plus seconds on the plus 30 seconds on the Delta. Oh no! What platform are you playing on? PC, Xbox, PlayStation? So I believe if, yeah, we'll probably be restarting the race with Sci-Fi Mega Hype a full lap behind everybody else, which is unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen him kind of have a better grasp on the game and potentially do a little bit better. I'm still very curious about this decision from Jamie Dwyer to go for the softs, as those are now 2-lap old softs. And barring another safety car, I don't really see how this would be the right decision. And he is the only driver to go for softs. A couple of drivers opted to not pit. Obviously, Ollie JL, F1 Mallard, D. Sommers did not pit under the safety car, as they're on their hard tires, and whether that is the best possible decision remains to be seen. But I can say with almost certainty that everybody on the mediums will most likely not be able to take those tires to the end. So Ledgeman says he's on Xbox. And very unfortunate. I hope it's just like a bit of an outlier with what happened with your game today, Ledgeman. I hope it's not going to be a common reoccurrence throughout the season, as that would be an absolute shame to not have you on the grid. So go on board with Arrow, who's just behind the current race leader, as everybody putting a bit of heat in their tires. I do feel like it's a little bit of a mistake to let the safety car go that far. But hey ho, it's Niles' restart. He can do as he pleases. And Arrow needs to try and keep up with Nile. So we may potentially have a few overtakes happening shortly, as everybody bar Sci-Fi Mega Hype all within a second of each other. And already the two front runners opening up a second gap to P3. And we've got Kevin Cal potentially looking to make a move on D. Sommers, as has to fall in behind. No space. And Lucci's making contact with Kevin Cal. By the looks of it, might have been a desync netcode thing. Again, need to put the webcam away when it's not needed. Need to get back into the swing of things. And Kevin Cal absolutely obliterates Lucci's, and we did get that on stream. We've got another safety car, so we did get that on stream. So I really hope that is not foreshadowing for what the season's going to be, as not a fan of that move. Probably could have left a bit of space there, if I'm honest. Yeah, should be interesting reading the Discord messages in a bit. So, a couple of drivers opting to go into the pits. Jamie Dwyer making the correct decision to get off of the soft tires now, as the gamble sort of maybe kinda worked for him. My game's finally synced after I DNF'd. Oh, I'm so sorry, mate. I did all the WHF 5-lap races one day and it was fine, so it should be okay going forward. Yeah, I hope so. Like, I hope this isn't going to be like one of those game bugs that absolutely ruins people's experiences. That would be an absolute shame. It would be nice if the whole field, if you are listening, if you could just slow down and maybe let Sci-Fi Mega Hype unlap himself. That would be ideal. But it's too late, as you've caught up to the safety car. Damn. So Lucci's the third driver to DNF. Hopefully we won't be waiting too long under the current safety car. So when the safety car's in, I need to make sure to change from the view with the camera and just have the game. Because I've forgotten it, like the VSC and the normal safety car. Forgot to change it both times. But we're going to get back into the swing of things. Alright? Sounds good? Yeah, it sounds good. So, some absolute scenes we've seen so far. Both Red Bull drivers causing a little bit of chaos on the track. Obviously, Kevin Cal getting into an altercation with Lucci's and caused a DNF from the V-Carb driver. And Aaron, who went a bit hot into turn 3 early on in the race, causing I believe it was a VSC, and partially taking out his teammate, sending two drivers into the wall. Not really what we want to see here, and this is preseason testing, so it should be treated as a normal race, as you would in the season. I kind of wish that Arrow had said, like, any stewards reports carry forward into the season. That would have been nice to see, but that is kind of weird. Is it like that on the normal cars too, where the dirt kind of only sticks to the carbon fiber, not to the actual paint? Or is that just a bug on the Red Bull? Well, just for good measure, we will move over to this view. I think I'm commenting a flapper race as well. Need to make sure syncing won't be an issue for that. Oh, are you also doing one of the races commentary? So with that, Niall starting us off. Arrow not far behind. Payox Kings just behind the two front runners. And within 2 turns, they've opened up their gap to 0.8, 0.9 seconds. With everybody P3 and lower kind of struggling to keep up. And I think the closest gap we've got so far will be Ollie Bean, who's off the pace of WHF Gordon just a little bit, but he does have Aaron having a little sniff around the inside, but won't have the legs to make the move stick. And next up we got WHF Gordon, who's also having a little peek on the inside of D. Sommers, trying to make a move onto the inside for turn 3. How's this going to work out for both drivers as we go on board with Gordon into turn 3? Oh, he gets shafted from behind by F1 Mallard again. So turn 3, an absolute killer for everybody on the field. And I think some of the drivers may have come away with damage as Aaron going side by side with Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean has front wing damage, so going to be coming off second best. D. Sommers now ahead of Aaron. And Gordon getting ahead of his teammate Jamie Dwyer. So very unfortunate. Ooh, Jamie Dwyer now maybe making a move on the inside. Nope, not going to have the legs to make any kind of move, but was just having a little look-see what was in front of his teammate. As we see a few gaps opening it up. But Arrow just slightly off the pace of Niall. Now that gap up to 1.2 seconds. And he will still get DRS, able to close that gap ever so slightly. But will it be enough? And we've got contact as D. Sommers with Aaron. It looked like Aaron maybe had the better exit, but made contact with D. Sommers. And D. Sommers now right on the gearbox of Aaron. Kenzie Young making a move past Ollie with the DRS, but could Ollie get that position back? He will not. And D. Sommers now up to P7, has Aaron right behind him with a 2.1 second gap. For Aaron, that would be a silly place to make a move. That DRS zone is nowhere near long enough, but good job for sliding on back and keeping it safe. So Aaron now a mere half a second behind D. Sommers. We got Jamie Dwyer getting the position back from Ollie Bean. Now slotting in just behind his McLaren teammate WHF Gordon, as we got Kevin Cal getting ahead of Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean, I believe, might have some front wing damage, and that might be why he's a little bit off the pace here. He does. He's missing his front right end plate. The damage may be more severe than it appears, as WHF Gordon getting ahead of Aaron and his teammate following suit into turn 3. And Gordon had to go exceptionally wide there. May have just kind of outbraked himself as he now loses out to both Red Bulls, taking up the 2 positions ahead of him. And his McLaren teammate Jamie Dwyer now in P8 will take the tire detail off. Ollie Bean now into the pits. WHF Gordon up to P11. just 9/10 behind Kevin Cal, as we see a bit of a few gaps forming as Niall 2.3 seconds ahead of Arrow, who's just picked up a 3-second penalty. Pales Kings 3 seconds behind. Kenzie Young behind by 1 second. Ollie by 1.8. F1 Mallard by 1.6. D. Somers 2.8. And Jamie Dwyer, Aaron, Kevin Cal, potentially F1 Gordon, all kind of within DRS of each other, as we got a little bit of contact there from Jamie Dwyer and Aaron trying to keep up with D. Somers, who's currently in P7 and surely going to lose out that position to Aaron as Aaron gets DRS coming in towards turn 3, and D. Somers was defending on the inside. Really good move from D. Somers there. And can he get the exit? He does, but he's going to have the legs on this main DRS straight. That is the question. Surely going to be dumping all of his ERS just to hold on. But it is kind of crazy that in 3 corners, 3 DRS zones makes Austria an immensely quick track. And if you don't have DRS, you do fall behind exceptionally quickly. And Aaron finally getting the move to stick down the main straight. And D. Somers needs to try and recover that position. He is up to P8, still a solid finish for him. And he is on the hard tire while Aaron is on the mediums. And whether or not those mediums will be able to make it to the end remains to be seen, as those mediums are now 10 laps old. So surely not going to be able to make it to the end. And I believe only 6 or 7 laps before those go completely off. Whereas D. Somers Hards should probably go off around the same time. So things are about to get interesting. Both drivers do have penalties and will be falling behind the 3 drivers behind them. Barring any track limits penalties from those 3 drivers, that should happen. And turn 3 again. Gordon really struggling with turn 3 at the minute. Oh, not Gordon. Jamie Dwyer, but we have seen his teammates struggle with it. We're now into the DRS section as D. Somers getting ahead of Aaron. And I'm still unclear of how the DRS section will work for the next turn. And D. Somers pitting now, possibly going on to the mediums, I believe, as Aaron going to be taking up that P7 position. And Jamie Dwyer, Kevin Cal, and WHF Gordon all getting ahead of D. Somers. And Jamie Dwyer taking his teammate's position in P8. Needs to put the pressure on Aaron and try and fight off Kevin Cal. Not the easiest task, but Gordon coming just behind. So we got Red Bull McLaren. Red Bull McLaren, something you won't see in real life because Max is the only person who knows how to drive that Red Bull car. And whether that's a reflection of how the car is or how good Max is as a driver remains to be seen. But Aaron will surely be falling below the 3 drivers behind him due to that penalty. And I don't believe that'll be something that he can appeal. And we've got Sci-Fi Mega Hype coming into the pits. I don't know whether that'll be to retire or whether that will be a case of fresh boots for the Alpine. And we did have a bit of contact between the Alpines and Red Bulls, but Jamie Dwyer going to be coming out ahead of Aaron. And we got a little bit of a lockup, and that is Gordon into the wall. Aaron getting the position back, and Kevin Cal getting ahead. Well, Kevin Cal going into the pits, rather. Gordon will surely be looking to pit this lap, as he seems to have some pretty severe front wing damage. Yeah, Ollie Bean may be joining, but it won't be if my game won't work. Ah, that is unfortunate, Ledgeman. Well, I hope you are able to do some commentary. I always like to see other people doing it, just to see if I can get any tips for anything that I might be able to improve on. That's why I like to watch Arrow's streams back, because he's really good at it, and he has done it a while. So not too much going to be happening. Potentially F1 Mallard if he can find the pace to catch up to Ollie. But at the moment, the only close gap is Aaron and Jamie Dwyer. Everybody else kind of running their own race with 14 laps to go. As Niall going to be making it 13 laps to go as we start lap 24. At least I think it's lap 24. So Aaron and Jamie Dwyer, once again the only gap close enough where a battle could happen. We've got a couple drivers in the pits. Where will they be coming out is the question, as Ollie getting some fresh mediums on should come out right around D. Somers. Similarly with F1 Mallard coming out right behind Ollie. D. Somers with the newest fastest lap with a 106.9. So D. Sommers and Ollie now close enough to battle. And Ollie Bean getting ahead of WHF Gordon as he's coming out of the pits after replacing his wing with the final turn where he kind of put it into the wall a little bit. Unsure if there was contact before that happened, but we did see him take some wing damage coming onto the final straight. But Aaron, Jamie Dwyer could be a battle. Ollie, JL, and D. Sommers could be a battle there. And other than that, nothing to really keep an eye out on, but Aaron goes wide out of turn 3. Opening up that gap to nearly 2 seconds, and D. Sommers now 9/10 behind, but will get DRS to the driver in front as they make their way towards the first/final turn. Jamie Dwyer getting ahead of Payox, but Payox is in the pits. And D. Sommers knows he's got Mallard behind him, so hopefully he can just use the DRS to his advantage. Ollie is not a slow driver, obviously tier 1 driver ahead of him, and he is a tier 2 driver from last season. But it remains to be seen whether he can actually get to make a move. What on earth happened there? Kevin Cal getting ahead of F1 Mallard. Must have spun a little bit or something. And Kenzie Young has closed the gap to Arrow down to 0.6 seconds. As we come into the final straight, Arrow diving into the pits. So Kenzie Young going to be taking up P2. And there are currently no gaps close enough for DRS, so there won't be too much battling happening unless one of those 1 point whatever second gaps closes to lower than 1 second. And this race has just gotten boring, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously the two front runners will be closing out the race on those hard tires. Arrow will be closing out on those mediums. Jamie Dwyer surely will need a pit before the end of the race. And Aaron on those softs, so we shouldn't see any more pits from any drivers, with the exception of potentially Jamie Dwyer, who I think is being a bit optimistic if he thinks those mediums are going to make it to the end, as we can see him already struggling for grip in the middle sector. WHF Gordon, who I believe is on softs. No, he's on mediums, has just set the new fastest lap. Blue Cheese has left the session. Very unfortunate incident with you and Kevin Calmate. I'm sorry it couldn't have been any better. But Payox Kings potentially could be fighting with Jamie Dwyer here shortly as WHF Gordon closes the gap to Ollie Bean down to 0.2 seconds. Just 2/10 behind as we come onto the DRS straight. Shirley should be able to make a move. Ollie Bean fighting tooth and nail, dumping his ERS. And I think WHF Gordon will hang on for the main DRS zone as Payox Kings getting ahead of Jamie Dwyer, who's just gone into the pits and gone board with Ollie as he's got WHF Gordon getting a nice pass alongside him into the final turn. Now onto the main straight, and Ollie may potentially be able to get it back, but Kevin Cal getting ahead of lapping Sci-Fi Mega Hype has Aaron right on his tail down to 0.2 seconds of gap. Oh, Aaron might be looking to try and send it. WHF Gordon getting ahead of his teammate Jamie Dwyer. Had to go a little bit wide for it, unfortunately, but was able to get the overtake done and dusted as Ollie Bean down in P12, now 6/10 behind Jamie Dwyer. And Aaron setting his sights on F1 Mallard, which is the closest of the gaps, with the exception of WHF Gordon and Ollie Bean. And WHF Arrow surprising us once again with the fastest lap. And with his current pace and position, he will retain a podium as he is 14 seconds behind Kenzie Young, who's 10 seconds behind Niall. And an absolutely textbook pass from Arrow against F1 Mallard there as they come into the final turn/turn 1. And Aaron does have that penalty, so F1 Mallard knows he'll be able to get that position back. Jamie Dwyer now behind his teammate WHF Gordon, but does have time penalties. Needs to try and fend off the Mercedes of Ollie Bean down in P12. Might be looking to try and get that P11 position from him as his teammate now setting his sights on Aaron, but will he have the pace coming out of turn 4 to get DRS towards turn 3? And Niall is in the pits, but I believe that gap should be enough for him to come out. Still in P2. Kenzie Young may potentially win it here. Possibly. There's a chance. Go on board with Jamie Dwyer as we try and check out the tire data. With 8 laps to go, Kenzie Young surely will be feeling those old hards, and Niall is an incredible driver, so you know he will be able to make those mediums work to his advantage with only 8 seconds to catch up. Bear in mind, he had an absolutely gargantuan gap before the safety car, and before Aero pitted, I believe it was a 14-second gap to P2. So it currently sits at 8.1 seconds of gap. And he's already closed it by about a tenth. Maybe more as we see the lap progress. If we're looking at about a second or more a lap, it could be a very tight race down to the line. F1 Mallard to try and catch Aaron, but Aaron is on the soft tire, 4-lap old, so there's still some life left in those softs. But how much life is anybody's guess? I believe with 1 lap down, Niall's made up just over a second with 7 laps to go. Should surely secure that E1 spot once again. And Arrow only 4 seconds behind, with Payox 7 seconds behind Arrow, so Arrow needs to try and maintain that gap in order to hang on to that P3 spot. And F1 Mallard goes very wide out of the second to last turn. Through turn 7 and 6 now, seems to be making inroads on Aaron as that gap closing and opening up back again as Aaron gets a... Oh no, and they've made contact, and out of nowhere it's WHF Gordon. So F1 Mallard loses it and has lost his front wing. Surely too late for a safety car. Not even a VSC. So Gordon, I believe, did lose part of his front wing, as we see his front left has some pretty bad damage. F1 Mallard has spun. Okay. Ollie Bean just barely getting ahead of WHF Gordon as they both look to get ahead of Aaron. Obviously F1 Mallard, no front wing, as we see a few drivers making a late pit. Aaron, F1 Mallard, and WHF Gordon all going into the pit now. So I think what happened there is when we went on board, we saw him drive straight into the side of that Red Bull. At least I think it was a Red Bull. And I think he was expecting that the Red Bull would ghost, but it did not. And I think he realized a little bit too late that it would break. He would need to brake, and then Gordon went into the back of him. So that has certainly spiced things up. Not necessarily for the better as we come into our last sort of 6 laps of racing. Kenzie Young has been caught up by Niall, who's on the better, fresher mediums. So we do have a yellow flag, but doesn't appear to be any kind of hazard on track. And Niall should surely get this overtake done and dusted before turn 3 as he's dumping the battery. He will get the DRS. Has immense pace coming out of the corner. Looks to take the inside line. Kenzie Young making a very late move before turn 3. And Niall gets the move done beautifully, but will he be able to hang on? Neither driver has DRS apparently. Alright. So now Kenzie Young will have DRS, as he was possibly going to have a sniffer down the inside, but I just don't think he'll have the legs to get ahead of Niall. Niall is in a league of his own. There's that gap opening up to 7/10 and surely going to be over a second by the time we come out of turn 4. So, they make their way towards turn 4. That gap now up to 1.1 seconds. Payox has made massive inroads on Arrow. And looks to try and make a cheeky move coming out of turn 5. Into turn 4. Closes the door on Arrow. So Arrow seems to be losing a little bit of the pace there, and he has lost most of the right side of his front wing. Arrow goes very wide, getting a further penalty, which will surely put him down towards P5 way. And his former teammate Ollie now smells blood in the water with him missing that wing. And will make the pass as Arrow dives into the pits. We'll need to get that wing replaced. Possibly see him swap over to the soft tire just for the last few laps. And Kenzie Young coming out of the pits now realized he was going to be unable to make those hards last till the end of the race, as he's come out right in the middle of Ollie and Payox, but he is hot on the heels of that Alpine in P2, and he's saying, I would love to have that position back. So is Ollie Bean getting ahead of Arrow, as Arrow's still in the pits, and Payox has gone off. I missed if there was contact or not, but Ollie 1.7 seconds behind Kenzie Young. And Arrow just coming out of the pits now. Massive fall off, and does have, I believe, 6 seconds of penalties. So that will put him all the way down in P12, unfortunately. Or just about. There's more gaps than I thought there was. Maybe P11? Right around, for sure, P10. Depending on if Aaron... You know what, he might actually be able to drop Aaron a little bit in these 2.5 remaining laps. So Arrow is hot on the heels of Jamie Dwyer in the McLaren. Both drivers do have penalties, but Aaron does have more, as Jamie Dwyer only has 3 seconds of penalties to Arrow's 6 as they come into the turn 1. They kind of go a little bit wide, but they keep it on track. Beautifully done by both drivers to make that stick and work out for both of them. And barring the 3 drivers at the back, that is the closest battle we have on track. WHF Gordon hot on the heels of F1 Mallard, who is just behind Aaron. Both are on soft tires, and Aaron is on, I believe, some fairly worn hards, so they might be able to make a move past, potentially. But that remains to be seen. Obviously, they are on a fresher tire, a softer compound. And Kenzie Young has just set the fastest lap on soft tires with no DRS. What happened to Gordon? Oh, it's a back marker because Niall is coming up hot. We'll go on board with him as he can get a front row view to the 3 back runners. Back markers, rather. Ollie being the latest defender for track limits. Absolute masterclass from Niall, as he's just won the race. We need to find a way to nerf this guy. So your race winner this evening will be Niall, followed by Kenzie Young. Then Ollie JL is not too far behind, but we could potentially have a battle here between Kevin Cal and D. Sommers. Kevin Cal gets the DRS, but will it be enough I don't believe he even thinks it will be enough to catch him by turn 1. He's not dumping the RS or anything. So Payox Kings will be P4. Ollie will be P3. D Sommers P6. P6. Kevin Cal in P5. Ollie Bean P7. WHF Arrow, who had not an ideal race, and one of the worst results we've seen from Arrow, in P8. Jamie Dwyer going to be finishing ahead of him. So Arrow is P9. F1 Mallard in P10. And then I think it was Aaron and WHF Gordon P11 and 12. And then obviously the DNFs that we had. Right rear was an 85% crossing the line, says D. Sommers. Wow. I imagine that wasn't very easy to drive. 85% wear on the rear. Okay, so we've just gone from the podium to a crashed car on the main straight. And now back to the podium. This is the new celebration that they made a big deal about. It looks better, but I wouldn't say it's anything super to write home about. So, Aaron, Kenzie Young. Oh, Niall, Kenzie Young, Aaron. Oh, I like this. Race winner, fastest lap driver of the day. Most overtakes by Jamie Dwyer. Cleanest driver was Niall, who also got race winner driver of the day, and was Aaron. I don't know about that one, mate. Wouldn't have been my vote personally, but it is what it is. Kenzie Young ended up with fastest lap and P2, so he's walking away with quite a bit here this evening in the first of the shakedown test races for WHF. And no. Alrighty, ladies and gents. Thank you very much to everybody that tuned in for our social race. Yeah, thank you very much for everybody that watched our social race. I'm calling it a preseason testing race, personally. That's what I'm calling it. Just to try and make sure that nobody does stupid shit, because like that would just be dumb. You know what I mean? Like, let's keep it serious. So thank you everybody to everybody that did watch. And I think Arrow's gonna find somebody for us to raid. And I've been Scones. I will not be racing or commentating tomorrow night, but I may potentially be racing on Sunday or commentating. I don't know. If I'm racing, I apologize to everybody that I hit. I'm not used to the game. I don't have good setups yet. It is what it is. All right. But thank you to everybody that has tuned in this evening. And we'll be raiding Half Lap Harry. And I hope you all have a lovely evening, and we will be back tomorrow for the next preseason testing race. Getting used to the new game. And we saw tonight it was chaos on a reverse track, so should be interesting.